Abby, how successful would you be if we didn't give you the coverage that we give you? Such as like we're giving you coverage right here. How successful would you have been, man, if the press just lay off you, you know?
Well,
if our brothers and sisters wouldn't, you know, if they didn't get the word of your campaign, what you're trying to do.
Well, our uncle's Walter Cronkite. I mean, we have like a standing long-term family commitment with him, and Merv Griffin.
Yeah.
The general consensus of not wanting to spend more money is due to a lack of knowledge as to the value to our entire economy and the value to our scientific advancement, our educational advancement that the space program has brought to us. I think we've been derelict in not doing a better job of acquainting the people as to the real profit that has accrued from this operation.
Do you think part of it is because the public has become just kind of bored with the newness, that they've worn into the idea of the space flight?
Well, I think that they were built up to a pitch, to a climax, to where they thought that everything was around landing a man on the moon. So they say, well, now that's done, so what? Without thinking that our knowledge and the profit, and there has been a profit in it, came from the development of our ability and our technique to perform these moon landings. It wasn't just to put a man on the moon.
Dallas voters will get another trip to the polls on April 25th to elect a school board trustee for position number 2. This action came today in a special meeting held here at the school administration building. It all began a week ago when Dallasites began casting ballots for 4 school board seats. The election at the outset was considered by some to be one of the most controversial school board elections in the history of the Dallas School District. It was also scheduled to require extra time to tally the votes due to the use of paper ballots. The late counting apparently carried over into Sunday morning. At least that is when the final counts reached the administration building. The tardiness caused incumbent CGS candidate John Plath Green, after discovering a couple of errors in the late boxes, to contest the election. This action will be taken by CGS candidates in a lawsuit. Green told me that the odds are better in a courtroom than they would be to request a recount. He says that if he loses in the runoff election to Mrs. Henderson, he may still win if the courts rule in his favor. Also, the other CGS candidates have a chance to be seated if fraud can be established. The board also voted to submit a proposal to seek funds for Girls Adventure Trails Incorporated, a program for girls with emotional problems. Cochise Cash, Channel 8 News.
We were concerned about the drug problem because there was an awful lot of articles in the paper and in the magazines about 3 weeks ago. So we thought, what can we do? And Craig had recently been out in California and heard Dr. Hardin Jones from the University of California at Berkeley speak. He said this man really knew the story, and he didn't mince any words and wasn't hesitant to speak out what he really thought, that we should have him to speak. Well, we went from speaking to several people to having a mass rally out the Cotton Bowl where we could have 50, maybe 70,000 or more people in attendance. The idea behind this is that anytime you get 50 to 70,000 people speaking up for anything, you're going to make a real impact on your city officials as well as your national people. So we felt that this would give people an outlet to express their concern. Most people are concerned about this, as we found, but they didn't know what to do. They had no outlet for their energies. So with the rally, we'll be able to have a strong show of public concern, which we think will give good support to public officials. Then we'll also be able to channel them to organizations that are actively working or set up to help people with a drug problem. Also be able to offer perhaps other solutions as far as community action. So what we're trying to encourage then is to each individual go out and get their neighbor and get themselves and be in attendance out the Cotton Bowl. We had visits with Mayor Johnson and City Manager McDonald and Chief Dyson of the Police Department, And we've scheduled this thing for May the 16th at the Cotton Bowl, and it'll be tentatively set for 1:30. We might change that if we have a public or large name personality come in that needs to be in at 1 o'clock instead of 1:30 or something to meet plane schedules.